Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Journey with Vijay Kumar Srivastav. Today we are going to study the topic the Rockefeller Foundation in Agriculture. Before presentation I would like to introduce myself. I am Vijay Kumar Srivastav. I have completed MS Agriculture with a specialization in agronomy from GB Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar in 1996 and presently associated with seed industry. So let's proceed to the presentation. The Rockefeller Foundation played very important role for development of agriculture in the world as well as in India. Today it is nearly impossible to imagine the global transformation of agriculture without the Rockefeller Foundation. Alongside and perhaps even surpassing its accomplishments in public health, the Rockefeller Foundation made its most visible mark in agriculture. Now, brief introduction about the Rockefeller Foundation. The Rockefeller Foundation is a private foundation based at New York, United States of America. It was established by the sixth generation Rockefeller family. The foundation was started by Standard Oil owner John D. Rockefeller Sr. along with his son John D. Rockefeller Jr. and senior's principal oil and gas business and philanthropic advisor Frederick Taylor Gates in New York on 14th May 1913 when its charter was formally accepted by the New York State Legislature. As of 2015, the foundation was ranked as the 39th largest US foundation by total giving with annual grants of $173 million. The mission of Rockefeller Foundation is to promote the well-being of humanity throughout the world. Today, the foundation advances new frontiers of science, data, policy, and innovation to solve global challenges related to health, food, power, and economic mobility. As a development from the 1940s through the 1960s, the Rockefeller Foundation founded permanent research facilities in Mexico, Philippines, Colombia, and Nigeria. Agriculture was introduced to the Natural Sciences Division of the Foundation in the major reorganization of 1928. In 1941, the Foundation gave a small grant to Mexico for maize research. These centers bred higher yield grains, reduced crop susceptibility to disease, improved fertilizers, and instructed farmers in efficient sowing and irrigation techniques. The Rockefeller Foundation employed highly trained specialists from US universities who in turn trained generations of indigenous agricultural scientists. The uniqueness of the agriculture program placed it outside the Rockefeller Foundation formal divisional structure for almost 10 years until it was appended to the Division of Natural Sciences in 1951. In 1963, the Rockefeller Foundation dismantled its academic divisions in favor of interdisciplinary programs with broader objectives. Agriculture became the cornerstone of a new initiative entitled Conquest of Hunger. By 1968, the success of Rockefeller Foundation developed hybrid rice at staving off famine in India, inspired United States Agency for International Development Director William Gord to declare the Green Revolution. As programs grew too large to be supported by any single entity, the Rockefeller Foundation worked with other foundations and agencies to establish international collaborative NGOs, including the Consultative Group of International Agriculture Research (CGIAR) and later the Alliance for a Green Revolution for Africa. In 1943, there had not been a single trained plant protectionist in Mexico. Local agriculture was outdated. 20 years later, the Rockefeller Foundation had contributed by providing funding, hands-on experience, and often both, to the training of over 700 Mexican scientists in field of agriculture. The success of the foundation's effort in Mexico led many of that country's neighbors to request similar assistance. To that end, the foundation set up a similar program in Colombia in 1950. Other countries soon followed, and the benefits of Rockefeller Foundation sponsored research were spread throughout Latin America and eventually to Asia and the Indian subcontinent. In 1959, the Rockefeller Foundation was joined in its food production efforts by the Ford Foundation, which paid $7.15 million to build the International Rice Research Institute and contributed an additional $750,000 for research and training over the institute's first 3 years of operation. The impact of the Green Revolution was enormous. High yield agriculture is credited with saving at least a billion lives since the mid 1960s. Global cereal production more than tripled between 1950 to 2000. In absence of that, the adequate supply of food, political stability, and economic prosperity cannot be achieved. This is why in 1970, the Nobel Committee recognized Dr. Norman Borlaug, who was a Rockefeller agronomist who headed up the wheat division, was awarded with Nobel Prize for Peace. In 1943, the Mexican government founded the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center, CIMIT, which became a base for international agriculture research. By 1943, this program under the Rockefeller Foundation's Mexican Agriculture Project had proved such a success with the science of corn propagation and general principles of agronomy that it was exported to other Latin American countries. All India coordinated maize improvement programs started in 1956 by ICAR in collaboration with Rockefeller Foundation. In 1959, that senior foundation officials succeeded in getting the Ford Foundation and later World Bank to sign on to the major philanthropic project known now to the world as the Green Revolution. It was originally conceived in 1943 as CIMIT, the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center in Mexico. It also provided significant funding for the International Rice Research Institute in the Philippines. Part of the original programs, the funding of the IRRI was later taken over by the Ford Foundation. The International Rice Research Institute and the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center are part of a consortium of agriculture research organizations known as CGIAR. Now we'll go through the role of the Rockefeller Foundation in Green Revolution. The Green Revolution or the Third Agriculture Revolution is a set of research technology transfer initiatives occurring between 1950 and the late 1960s that increased agricultural production worldwide, beginning most markedly in the late 1960s. Both the Ford Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation were heavily involved in its initial development in Mexico. One key leader was Norman Borlaug, the father of the Green Revolution, who received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1970. He is credited with saving over a billion people from starvation. The Green Revolution initiatives were resulted in the adoption of new technologies, including high-yielding varieties of cereals, especially dwarf wheat and rice. It was associated with chemical fertilizers and agrochemicals used in agriculture, controlled water supply, usually involving irrigation systems, and newer methods of cultivation, including mechanization. All of these together were seen as a package of practices to supersede traditional technology and to be adopted as a whole. The term Green Revolution was first used by William S. Scott, the administrator of the US Agency for International Development, in a speech on 8th March 1968. The basic approach of Green Revolution was development of high-yielding varieties of cereal grains, expansion of irrigation infrastructure, modernization of management techniques, distribution of hybridized seeds, and use of synthetic fertilizers and use of pesticides to farmers. Hybrid seeds created through Rockefeller Foundation research enabled developing nations to achieve self-sufficiency in food production and to gain entrance to world markets. The Rockefeller Foundation model of research, technical assistance, and educational expansion has since been widely adopted by both governments and non-governmental organizations for the development of agriculture. The Rockefeller Foundation was an important agency in promoting the development of the new agriculture science. Its programs in Mexico and India, initiated in 1941 and 1956, were key building blocks in creating high-yielding agricultural practices. The foundation scientists saw rapid population growth is the main source of hunger and communist subversion. In order to alleviate hunger and instability, they created a strategy of agriculture development based on increased yield, but paid no attention to the problem of distribution of harvested food. New initiatives taken into account after lessons learned, like mobilized technology in the service of sustainability, emphasize smallhold farming, and make the cultivation of indigenous crop a priority. The enduring legacy of the Rockefeller Foundation is a changed world agriculture regime characterized by scientific methods, global information exchange, and the treatment of food production as a business enterprise. Sustainability was a issue raised even after so many developments in agriculture. Sustainability was not recognized as a problem at the time foundation scientists began their work. Indeed, the technical successes of their programs promoted the development of concerns about sustainability. Equity of distribution was brought to the attention of the foundation before it began its work, but the scientists paid no attention to the issue. Even after great developments and achievements after Green Revolution, there were a lot of controversies. High-yielding agriculture in less industrialized countries, the Green Revolution has been both honored and criticized over the past 20 years. Supporters point to the increased food supplies produced through the new practices, but detractors argue that the new technologies are environmentally destructive, unsustainable, and socially inequitable. Since the 1970s, the techniques pioneered by the Rockefeller Foundation have been criticized for their environmental impact, for their relationship with big agri-businesses, and for failing to eliminate hunger completely. Yet the notion that food is a powerful instrument of peace has persisted. The infrastructure the Rockefeller Foundation helped install now aims for a second green revolution. The results of the Rockefeller Foundation's efforts in agriculture spawned an important controversy. First, some said the new technologies damaged the environment and will not be sustainable due to their usage of natural resources. Specifically, critics argued that the Green Revolution resulted in the disappearance of genetic diversity, exhaustion of fertilizers and petrochemicals, soil salinization from irrigation, and dangers of pest outbreaks from monocropping. Regarding controversies, the second group, critics argued that the adoption of new practices exacerbated already severe inequities in countries like India, or were only partially successful in reaching the total farming population. Specifically, some social scientists argued that the Green Revolution resulted in the displacement of marginal farmers, downgrading of the status of women agriculturists, and tragic irony of increased hunger in the presence of enhanced agriculture productivity. In 1990s, the Rockefeller Foundation shifted its agriculture work and emphasis to Africa. In 2006, it joined with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in a $150 million efforts to fight hunger in the continent through improved agriculture productivity. Rockefeller has been involved in Africa since their beginning in three main areas: health, agriculture, and education, though agriculture has been their largest investment in Africa. The Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa's first investment of $150 million, out of which $100 million from Gates Foundation and $50 million from Rockefeller Foundation, will support the program for Africa's seed system, which is known as PASS. PASS will mount an across the board efforts to improve the availability and varieties of seeds that can produce higher yields in the often harsh conditions of sub-Saharan Africa. Specifically, PASS will help to develop improved varieties of African crops, train new generation of African crop scientists, ensure improved seed reach smallholder farmers, develop a network of African agro dealers, monitor, evaluate, and manage the program for success. The Rockefeller Foundation has already spent more than $600 million in current dollars on Green Revolution work around the world, including nearly $150 million during the last 7 years in Africa. For decades, the Rockefeller Foundation has played a crucial role in creating and sustaining highly successful programs that have reduced poverty by improving agriculture research and productivity. Rockefeller Foundation, joining hands with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, together share a vision for creating lasting change that will help millions of the most vulnerable people in Africa lift themselves out of extreme poverty. So this presentation was all about the Rockefeller Foundation efforts in agriculture, their contributions and achievement throughout the world. Hope this will be very useful to all of you. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I have given here my YouTube channel details, Journey with Vijay Kumar Srivastav. Having request, please visit the channel, subscribe it and provide your kind and valuable feedbacks for further improvements. Thank you.